joining today. Carlos is joining us from Guatemala. He's going to give us a presentation on carteros and the Cartero markings. Before we start, Michael, do you have any announcements for the society?
I do not. I do not, other than to welcome you as our new Stamp Chat host. And I feel both very proud that we exist and really relieved that you've taken over.
I'm glad you're relieved. I feel relieved too. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So Carlos, I'm going to put the spotlight on you.
Yes, I have an announcement before I start my presentation. I have bad news for the Guatemala philatelistry. Some people know Jorge Macha. I have a bad news. He died past Saturday.
Okay, Carlos, are you going to share your screen?
Yes, yes.
And we've got a little bit of an echo. If you could maybe speak a little closer to the microphone.
Do you hear me, Richard?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Well, we are going to start my presentation of the Cartero Markings. I put the both the Guatemala Association of Guatemala and the ISGC because I am a member of the two federations or societies. Problems with my first international contact with the philatelist was in Madrid 2000. I received course for philatelic instructors. That was my beginning for my first contact in the philatelist. I have a special thanks to three people. The first one is Fernando Diaz. He always motivated us to make our collections and investigate. Jorge Baca, who died last Saturday, he gave me my first Cartero Markings in an envelope and wrapper exchange. And Cecil Gurson, apart from writing the wonderful book, The Postal Markings of Guatemala, she motivated me to start my collection of carteros, also bisones. And I be grateful to people. The postmen have been not mentioned in postal publications since 1874. Their job was to distribute correspondence. At the end of 1897, there were 15 distributing postmen in Guatemala City and 88 in the entire country. By well-known marks, numbered postman stamps were distributed and used for the first time around 1897, only in Guatemala City. Each employee marked the correspondence that he was in charge for distributing. This system does not appear to have lasted until 1958, with an interruption between 1920 and 1920. Here is the list of departments for Guatemala City as of December 31, 1897. I have the two pictures of the departments and the postman and mailman. One of 1926, the other 1947. We can look the clothes of the people. They have a uniform, very well dressed. And we start with the linear markings of the postman. I found 6 types of postmen between 1897 and 1920. In Cecile's book, we have the column that was in Postal Mark Guatemala 2007 is this period of time and the period of use. I changed with my investigate the first Cartero Markings were known until 1899. I found one of 1900. The number is only the number 10. And I didn't find another one. About the second type of carcero who was described in the field book, his period of use was 1897. I found one cover of one postal
I'm listening to a
stationery
conference.
to 1903. I find 3 more numbers, 14, 15, and 18. About the Cartero Marking type 3, there wasn't described in the series book. I only find one of the year 1903. It's the only one known of this type of Cartero. About the Cartero type 4, in the series book, it was described between 1904 and 1906. The same date I found my new numbers. The new numbers I found are 1, 3, 4, 7, and 8. About the Cartero in type 5, the field dicer in between 1907 and 1908. I found another one in 1910. The new numbers I found were 2, 3, 6, 11, and 12. And the Cartero type 6, it wasn't described in the field book. I found 2 numbers, both used in 1920. The new numbers are 3 and 21. And now I have the images of the Cartero markings. Here is the type 1 Cartero. Here's the one I found in 1900. Is the late use known of this Cartero. Here I have the dimensions of the markings, 45 millimeters by 7. The type 2 is the Cartero marking. Here is the Cartero 2, the Cartero 3. The dimensions are 46 by 8. And the period of use was until 1903. Here is the one I found used in 1903, the Cartero 4. It's another market Cartero 4. Here is the Cartero 5, used 1899, also the Cartero 6, 1899. The Cartero 7, 1900, and the Cartero 14, 1898. I never have seen one of 1897 or as is described in the statistics. Here are the new that I found, Cartero 15, Cartero 18. The type 3 is the one I found in that it wasn't described in the field book. The Cartero 49 by 18.5 millimeters. It's a little bigger than the Type 2. In Cartero Type 4, it was 30 millimeters by 4. Here is one of my special covers that I found. It has 3 Cartero markings in the same cover: Cartero 7, Cartero 4, and Cartero 8. Here is another one I found, Cartero 1. It wasn't described in the field book. Here is the Cartero 2, Cartero 2, Cartero 5, Cartero 11. And this is the one I haven't described in my articles in the EQ. It is one more for to add to the list of the Cartero. Cartero number 3. Type 5 of the Cartero. This is the latest known use of the Cartero Type 5. 1910. This is the Cartero 3. I found this in an EQ in an article of the April Tema. I see that it wasn't registered. I published him and he sent me the photos of the Cartero, of the cover. The Cartero 6 in 1907. I have here the Cartero 7 in 1908. Narrero, the card, postal card. Here I have the Cartero 11. So there are new numbers that I found that wasn't described in the Facebook. And this is the new type of Cartero that I found. It uses in the year 1920. I found the number 3 of the Cartero and the number 21. The dimensions are 23 by 3. This is a little size Cartero marking. But this is curious that the difference between the linear Cartero markings and the circular Cartero markings before I found these 2 markings, the difference between both uses are from 1908 to 1925. Now with this Cartero marking, the difference between the linear Cartero markings and the circular Cartero markings was reduced to 5 years without Cartero. Maybe we can find someone for this year. They will find then to change all the stories. Now we start with the circular Cartero marking. I found 10 different types of Cartero markings. The type 7, these are between 1925 to 1942. Type 8 is between 1936 to 1948. Type 9 used in 1936. Also, type 10 used in 1936. Type 11 used between 1938 and 1958. Type 12 used between 1939 to 1942. Type 13 used in 1941. Type 14 used in 1941. Type 15 used between 1942 and 1945, and type 16 used between 1942 and 1943. I have a comparative with the postal mark Guatemala 2007 and what I found different. The series has in her book 4 types of the circular Cartero Markings. I think he didn't make a difference in some sizes of the Cartero that I took. The first one of the Cartero Marking, the type 7, is the same period that I found, but I found 4 new numbers, 11, 17, 19, and 23. The 20 millimeters diameter without dash is the same, it's almost the same period. I found one used 2 years before the register in the series book. It starts in 1936, and I have here a little problem because I use the type 8 and the type 9. The fields didn't make a difference between without dash and without dash. I make this difference. I think it's another type of Cartero. I use the same numbers for both in the field study, and I add the ones I found. For the type 8, I found the Cartero number 2, 13, 14, 15, 20, and 23. There, the others, the type 9 and type 10 is for a diameter of 13 millimeters, both used in 1936. One, the Cartero found it 12 and the other 25. That wasn't described in the Facebook. The other one, the type 11, that was described in the Facebook. I don't know if it's really the date that she put because she used the both without and detached for the same price. I found for this type new numbers, the 9, 28, 29, 49, and 57. The next 4 Cartero Markings wasn't described in the field book. The type 12 used between 1939 to 1943. I found the numbers of Cartero 1, 7, and 16. For the type 13, for a diameter of 25 millimeters used in 1941, I found the Cartero number 7. Another one of a diameter of 30 millimeters used in 1941, I found the Cartero number 10. I found the biggest Cartero marking, circular Cartero marking, used between 1942 and 1945. I found some of them that I can put the period of time. I found 2 numbers, 22 and 24. And the last one, the Cartero type 16, about 28, 29 millimeters. It's difficult sometimes because of the ink to determine to the real because the diameter. I found one used in 1942, the same that is described in the Facebook. So I extend the period of use 1 year before that appears in the Facebook. And the only one number I have found is the number 3, like the Facebook. Now we start with images. I have previous differences between the 30 millimeter markings, the type 4, type 9, type 10, and type 14. The size of the letters in the type 7 is 4 millimeters. In type 9 is 2.75 millimeters. In type 10 is 3 millimeters. And in type 14 is 2.5 millimeters, the size of the letter. The letter is different in almost all the 4 types. You can see that the numbers and the letters are completely different. So it's the reason that I described as a new type of marking. Here are the images of the Cartero, the type 7. And here the Cartero 12, the Cartero 4, the Cartero 6, and 11. I have found a difference between the sizes of the Carteros in type 7. We have 2 sizes of the Cartero in the numbers of the Cartero marking, 10 millimeters and 7 millimeters. The only one who appears in both sizes is the Cartero 14. I think I can make a difference between the time of use of the both differences, but I am going to return to the images. Here we have a little number. This is the number 3 is in 1930. This 4 is 1940, 1929. This 6 is smaller. No, this is like the 3 and 4. The 11 is bigger, but the dates are in different. We can find one before, one later. We don't care if it is big or if it's small. So I can make a difference between the use of the smaller or the bigger number. Here is the number 17, the number 19. If you see the number 11, I don't see the date. And this is the one reason that I couldn't make a difference in time in the use of the small or bigger number. Now the time 8, this is the earliest known use in 1936. The Cartero 13, the Cartero 14, Cartero 15, Cartero 23. Now we have the type 9, the only one I found is used in 1936. The type 10 is another one, is a diameter of 30 millimeters, used also in 1936. I found this one in the type 11. This is the late use of any type of fondant. It was used in 1968. It's the last date I found for a Cartero marking. This one, the Cartero 28, Cartero 49, Cartero 15, 7. This is the one that I found that wasn't in the field book. Type 12 is the Cartero 7. I found the number 16, 7, and 1. I count the number 1. Here's also the number 7 with another size of the marking. It's also number 7, usually in 1941. Here is one that of the Cartero I found, usually in 1941. This is another time that I found 33 millimeters diameter. I found the number 24 and number 22. I have a couple of the 24 and one of 22 that I can say that the period of use is 1942 through 1945. And the last Cartero marking that I found another date. I found the one used in 1942, and this is one of the that is in the series postal mark book, the Cartero 3, about 28, 29 millimeters. It depends on the ink. And the other that I found outside the capital of the Guatemala City is the one used in Amatitlán, used between 1940 and 1942. And that is the old Cartero markings that were used in Guatemala. Thank you very much. It was a little a presentation. I wish that you like them.
Okay, Carlos, thank you very much. And I know you put a lot of time into your research, and it's very painstaking. A lot of detail. There were some questions in the chat. If people want to go ahead and unmute themselves and maybe ask the questions. So, Carlos, we had some questions from the society.
Hey, Carlos, buenos días.
Sí, buenos días.
Okay, una pregunta. So my question is, was the Cartero number uniquely assigned to one individual, or was it assigned by geographical area, or how was it assigned? And the last part of the question is, when the Cartero moved on, say he passed away or he died or he was terminated, what happened to that number? Was it reassigned to somebody else, or was it kept by the particular Cartero?
Because of the time that was used in Cartero, we can find the same number in different ages. I think if one dies, another one takes the number. And I think they have a special area to distribute. But I found the one cover with 3 Cartero markings, and by handwriting, they put the reason they couldn't deliver the item. So another Cartero goes in another day or another hour to try to distribute. So I don't know if they have a special area to distribute.
Gracias, Carlos.
I had a question also for you, Carlos. Do we know who made the actual devices, the Cartero markings? I know there are a number of companies that did do the rubber stamps for the government. Do we have any of that documented?
No, I don't have these documents. It's one of my purpose is continue investigating this because there are a lot of jobs about this Cartero marking. Also the butones or also the other markings.
Okay.
Hey, this is Michael Bloom. Carlos, A lot of your work is a major addition to the work done much earlier by Cecile Grusin. And we're going to be republishing her work in some form. The current book is out of date. We're still working on the handbook that's published online. We have not gotten to postmarks yet and postal markings. But if you would, I would appreciate a copy of your presentation so that we can have it ready when we reach the point of republishing Cecile Grusin's work.
Well, I can do a special work for you. I can scan all my, because here I have more of the Cartero Marking number. I can scan all the marking that I have and send to you to add to the new publication.
Okay. Another possibility, Carlos, is perhaps, and again, there's no rush on this, no rush. Perhaps you could write a long, detailed article, especially for the handbook.
Oh yes, I can do with dates and all when all the things I see I didn't put here.
Okay. I just want to let you know that we're interested in publishing your work in the new handbook, which will be called something like the Postal History and Postal Markings of Guatemala.
Yes, it's an honor for me.
Great. Of course, your name would be there in large letters.
Thank you.
Carlos, do you know whether there are any forged carteros? Because there are so many, and it would be easy to have a nice addition to a letter by adding a cartero. Could you recognize a forgery?
I don't understand very well your question.
Well, you have found a lot of new ones, and I know in recent years there have been a lot of creativity in producing things that aren't real, are forgeries. So I wanted to know, could you see whether or not a cartero is a real cancellation?
It's very difficult to see if fake or not. But if you see the one of the cartero, I found the last one, the Cartero Markings, because of the type of what is writing in the card and the how do you say motivo, the meaning of the card. I think they are real. If someone says maybe it could be a fake if you find some or a lot of the Cartero Markings and not the same, you can see that it's not a fake. Yeah, if I found some double or three markings of the same, I think that is real.
They could all be forgeries. Maybe it should be nice if the cancellations would be tested for ink. You have special devices that can tell you whether or not the inks would contain materials that were not available at the time. That would be a nice study to do.
Yes,
And it could be done at the APS, I think. They have the special cameras and to see whether or not the inks could be incorrect.
Yes, you can do that. It could be expensive that all the pieces that I found only to make this study. It's expensive.
That would be improbable, but some could be.
Yes, it could be.
Carlos, have you found that you've been able to assign a cartero number with a certain part of Guatemala City? So, for example, I know I've got some cartero markings that went to in Zona Uno. They went to the area around La Sexta Avenida, and it's always the same Cartero marking. So have you been able to assign those to geographic parts of the city?
I tried to do this, but at the beginning of the century, a lot of covers only put the name of the people, and the cartero know who they are, and they only give the letters and the postal card. They didn't put the address. It's difficult
Right.
to
I
determine this.
I know that one Herman Span used to receive a lot around 1900 to 1910, and he was always staying at the Grand Hotel.
This is the Palace Hotel in
Not the Palace Hotel, the Grand Hotel.
no, the Grand Hotel.
Yeah, that was on Grand Hotel was on, I want to say, Octava con la Novena.
Octava Avenida, 18th Avenue, 8th Avenue and 19th
Not
and
9th Street.
9th Street.
Yeah, 9th Street East.
Yeah.
I got to double check it, but it was right around there. But that
In the other place, yes.
yeah, but he always received it there, and it's always the same cartero number.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if they had their assigned areas, or maybe they just went wherever the mail was for that day.
Maybe.
I think there's still a lot of holes to fill in, but you've done a tremendous job, Carlos, with this very detailed study and information you put together. So I, for one, really appreciate all the work you've done on that.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Carlos, can I do a question?
Yes.
It's a very common question, and I'm pretty sure you heard this before, but it's like the $1 million question. Why these markings are so relatively rare if, in theory, all correspondence that was distributed in Guatemala City had to be marked? Do you think this is because the volume of mail that was very large, and in the 1920s there were only about 30 guys distributing the mail in the city? Because I mean, you see these markings, one on each, one on 100 covers, something like that. They're relatively scarce. Why?
Maybe that you say it's a lot of correspondence, or is the important people who distribute these carteros? I don't know. It is a little part of the correspondence that was marking with the cartero, also buzones. Maybe they have a different type of have the correspondence, or the office gave them the tackle, I don't know how to say tackle for the mail, or the package of the box, or all the cards or letters to distribute, and only mark a few of them. I don't know how it functions in this year.
Carlos, have you, is it possible, like in the 1890s, it seemed like the Cartero was in the post office and was responsible for directing mail to a certain recipient. And then after that, it seemed to me, and looking at these over the years, that, like you said, it might have something to do with maybe special handling, like first flights, or a cover that had a special, like express direction and that kind of thing. Is that special uses that of the mail where Cartero then would mark it?
I'm going to share with you one of my Cartero markings. That is the one I found with a few Cartero Markings. Here, I found the description why they can deliver the correspondence. So they went to give the letter to this person who they didn't found 3 times. So I think it's not also what you say, because this envelope is almost the other side of the work. I think they were in the streets giving all the correspondence to the people.
The cover that you're showing on the right, as far as I can see from here, it has 4 Cartero markings, right? Not 3.
Yes. One is the same number.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see very well from here.
I'm going to show you again. Here is the Cartero. Have 2-8 Cartero 8 and Cartero 8, Cartero 4 and Cartero 7. And we can read in
Well, I'm wondering if going back to the question about the mail, or the volume of mail that Gabriel had, I would think that some mail may have been picked up directly in the post office if they didn't know where the person lived. As Carlos said, for the businesses or the people that the post office knew and that received mail frequently, they knew where to go. And then other people, there's a lot of mail directed to post office boxes. Those were, especially in the 1930s, the post office boxes were used a lot, and people would pick up their mail at their post office box at the main post office.
Well, I remember from the top of my head that in the late 1920s in Guatemala City, about 4 million pieces of mail were distributed each year. And if there were only 30 guys, 30 postmen or mailmen, I mean, and you divide 4 million into 30, that's about 500 covers a day per person. And maybe they were so busy or they were lazy that they didn't want to mark 500 covers a day.
Or it could be like in Chile, where sometimes they would have a packet of mail. Here's my packet, and you put the marking on the top, on the first one of the packet. That was in Chile. That's what they do, is they would have a packet of mail, and it would be tied up with a string, and they would at the top would be marked, for example, Cartero 5, and they'd say, number 5, here are the 100 letters you have to deliver today, or the 50 letters you have to deliver today.
Following up on your comment, Richard, I just wonder when the markings were they applied during the sorting process? In which case it makes sense that only one of a bundle would be so stamped, and that the bundles would be assigned out to the carteros.
Yes, I think this makes sense because of the 4 million of cards that they must deliver. I think they only mark a bunch of the mail.
Are the carteros mentioned specifically in Guatemala's postal regulations?
Oh yeah.
Because I wonder what those regulations tell us about their use.
Well, they change over the time. I mean, they change over the time. Maybe a good starting point is the 1904 postal code, which is I believe in the website. But I was also going to say that I have covers delivered to the same person, 1926, 1927, 1928, same person, same address in Guatemala City, and some are marked with Cartero. Some other are not marked with Cartero. So this person was a well-known person in Guatemala City, and he was receiving mail in a regular form, and the Cartero arbitrarily decided one day to put his marking, the next time not put anything, and then put again the marking, and then not put again the marking. So it was like kind of random using his marking. I mean, I couldn't find an explanation over the years about this.
Yeah, the only thing, Gabriel, it makes sense to me is that they were given a packet, and the packet was marked on the top. But again, also, I think it changed over time. And back to your 4 million, Gabriel, the other comment I was going to make is how many of those 4 million during the year went to post office boxes, and so they never left the post office with a mailman. They were simply put in the post boxes, because a lot of the high volume businesses used a post office box, especially in the 1930s.
There's no way to know that. There's no
Right, and so
way
that's
to
why I'm
know.
saying, a lot of them would have been right there in the post office, and they would not have left with a mailman.
Yeah, but at any rate, I mean, they are scarce. I mean, you take 100 covers and maybe you're lucky and find one Cartero marking on the back. I mean,
Yep.
They are scarce. I mean, generally speaking, you don't find them very often in the market.
That's because Carlos has them all.
That's probably the case.
Okay, other questions anybody has for Carlos? I certainly think this is a topic where there's a lot of opportunity for more research, and also a lot of opportunity to find new things.